All right, we are back now here at the KFOR Plus News Desk. And will artificial intelligence now make customer service better or worse? Joining us to maybe help answer that question is Matt Rosen, who's a CEO and founder of Aleda, the technology consulting firm. Welcome, Matt. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show this afternoon.
You got it. Well, how is currently artificial intelligence being used in customer service, Matt, and what are some of the benefits and drawbacks of it?
Yeah, so AI is all around us. Many of the banks you might call into or government services are using an AI bot to respond to you. They might be using a chat bot on their website. Almost every website has one of these days that pops up and says, "Hey, how may I help?" But these engines have been around for a number of years, these chat bots, and some are really useful. Some can help you get basic information, help you reset your password, help you, if you've ever missed a delivery on Amazon, help you get that order back or get a refund. But you're going to see them start to move into some higher, more complex tasks. These chat engines are getting more and more sophisticated. But what we always say at Aleda, we're in the business of helping our clients automate through AI, and there always should be a human in the loop. So we believe in having AI really assisting a human to be better. And so I think as it evolves, you're going to see many, many customer service agents using AI to get answers to help serve their customers faster.
Yeah, the key word that you had in there, Matt, is evolve. Chatbots, AI is going to evolve and more. Can AI help personalize customer experiences? And if it can, how so?
It absolutely can. A lot of these engines have gotten very sophisticated. In fact, I needed to write a heartfelt note to someone today, and I went and asked ChatGPT to help me out, and it created something better than I might have been able to write myself, and definitely a lot faster. But then I took it and I edited it to make it my own. But you can absolutely personalize it based on who the customer is, what their persona is, some information about them, and can even provide it in an emotional tone that resonates with them. And so I think you're going to see AI more and more prevalent in customer service. And frankly, if I can get something quickly talking to a computer, I'm okay with that. But for something really complex, or if there's a fraud alert or something that's really difficult to deal with, I want to talk to a person. I want to hear the emotion from somebody on the other end of the line. So I think it's going to be kind of time and place where AI really takes the place of customer service agents.
Yeah, that's my next question. How does AI change the role of that human customer support agent, and what skills will they need to adapt to?
I think AI is going to change the way we work. We're at the very beginning of a revolution, much like electricity was, much like the internet was. And these revolutions take years. They don't happen overnight. And there's a lot of hype in the media about AI is coming for all our jobs. I don't believe AI is coming for our jobs, but I believe that somebody using AI is coming for our jobs. And so every one of us needs to get at least somewhat conversant in understanding what it can do. Specific to customer service, I think for lower level tasks, very routine work, I think you're going to see a lot of AI agents take the place of people, but there's always going to need people to deal with complex customer service issues, to deal with irate customers, and to really solve more difficult tasks. AI can only do what we tell it to do, and really your data is the differentiator. So whatever you tell AI, it's going to give it back. It can't do reasoning. It can't think of the next step. It's just very good at automating things, giving insights across vast amount of data, or creating starting points. And so as it relates to agents, I think they're still in a very nascent and evolving state.
Will artificial intelligence be able to detect and even prevent fraud or abusive behavior in customers?
Hey, it's happening today. If you ever get a fraud alert, whether it's Chase or Bank of America, a lot of these big banks have been embracing AI for years, and really in the more form of machine learning models where they trained it to look for patterns. And then when that pattern occurs, they flag it. You've probably been annoyed when your credit card got declined, maybe because you used it a few times in a different city. That is AI at work. So it's already in our daily lives. Siri and Alexa, they're low-level forms of AI. I think what you're going to see over the next 5 to 10 years is they're just going to get more sophisticated. They're going to be more personalized. You're going to be able to talk with them. And it's really going to be woven into our everyday interactions with the world.
Are companies using AI to proactively anticipate and address customer needs now?
I think they're starting to. I mean, you think about the recommendation engines on Amazon, people who bought this also bought that. I mean, that is a form of AI that's, being used to cross-sell and upsell And to date, most of the people that have had the innovations have been the Silicon Valley-based customers or companies with, thousands of engineers that have the bandwidth. What we're seeing across our customer base is they're really just starting to tip their toe in the water around what AI can do for them. And so what we're doing is helping them survey the landscape of what are the business use cases, because right now it's a technology and it's needs to be applied to solve real world business problems, and that's where the gap needs to be bridged, and where companies like ours are helping organizations really look at, all right, what are we trying to do from a business standpoint? Where are we struggling? Where do we not have the labor to do this? What are our customers asking for? And then what is AI really good at and meant to do? So I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see organizations embrace it. But you have a lot of people worried about what happens if with my data, what happens if AI tries to do something malicious. So I think there's a lot of people really trying to understand how it's going to impact, making sure the right controls are in place before they let it just go crazy in the commercial business world.
What are some of the most challenging and significant challenges, I guess, in implementing AI in customer service?
So one of the challenges is just making sure that it has the right data sets to solve the customer's problem. I mean, nothing's more frustrating than going and you probably had this experience. You go in, you give your credit card number and your date of birth and your social security, and then you get transferred to an agent and they ask you for the very same information. So just having systems that are integrated and tied together, having a good comprehensive strategy of how AI is going to actually work with real world human agents, because humans and computers have always been better together since the dawn of time and the dawn of computing, really. But having them integrated in a way where humans know how to take advantage of them, know how to use them, how it's integrated into their workflow, that's really one of the big inhibitors. And a lot of people don't understand how AI works or where it can be best used. And so that's really been some of the stumbling blocks we've seen is that, hey, this technology is really cool, but how do we make sure it's safe and secure? How do we know that it's not biased? And how do we get people trained to use it and integrate their workflows with it so that customers can have a seamless experience with our organization?
Is that part of the evolution that you were talking about, Matt? Is that
it absolutely
something
is. So when I got into this business, 25 years ago, there was the dawn of the internet and e-commerce. And back then everyone thought, oh my gosh, you're never going to leave your house to go shopping again. And everything's going to be delivered to your doorstep. Arguably, you'd say that happened during COVID, a good 22, 23 years after the fact. And so I think it's going to take time for people to evolve, adapt. In fact, just a year ago with when ChatGPT really came on the scene, it was giving lots of wrong answers. It was hallucinating. It was giving a lot of false answers about things, and people were like, this thing isn't accurate at all. But you fast forward 12, 18 months, and they've done a lot of things to make the answers and the predictability a lot more accurate. Now, like everything else, you want to trust but verify if you ask AI a question, because it might not give you the right information. But guess what? If you go to Google and you look at the first article you see, that might not be correct either. So I think it's incumbent upon people and organizations to really understand what this technology can do well and what it can't, and really view it as a tool in their tool bag to help solve business challenges.
Well, let's look at that, Matt. What are some limits that AI, what can they not do? Are companies turning over too much power to robots?
Well, it's interesting. I had an interview this morning about, will robots become our bosses? Where they were looking at having a robot really be a middle manager and like approving time offs and leveling work and even giving performance reviews. That was one use case. It was a small study, but is it an interesting thought, is that too far? In fact, there's even an act going through Congress. I think it was a little DOA, but it was this No Robot Bosses Act. And it has to do with, they don't want fully robotic or full algorithms determining like whether people should be hired or fired or whether they should have a job, because oftentimes you don't know how these models are trained, you don't know how bias is introduced into the model. And so organizations really want to be careful how they implement this technology. In fact, the EU's passed some pretty strong laws about it. California has some of its own coming through. So it's going to be really interesting to see how far regulation goes and kind of controlling how quickly AI gets adopted versus it changes literally daily. Like these models get better on almost a daily, weekly basis. So it's going so fast, it's almost difficult for anyone to keep up with. And I feel like, as a human race, we're struggling a little bit to figure out how quickly can we adapt it. Like I've not seen widespread adoption across our customer base yet, but everyone's talking about it. Within Aleda, we've really become an AI first company. So we have deployed the productivity tools to all of our developers and all our data scientists so that they can be more proficient. And for the ones that are adapting it to it and using it, they're 30 to 50% more productive. We're training everybody on it. We're making sure we're ready for when the customer demand is there, that we're ready to fulfill it, because I think when it happens, it's going to happen fast. But what I've seen to date is that, a lot of our customers are still learning it, still playing with it, trying to figure out where they can launch it with the least amount of risk. So outside of Silicon Valley, I'm not seeing this massive uptake where it's disrupting all industries. But I think we're at the very early stages of this revolution. I think it's going to play out, and it's going to be a really interesting time over the next 5 to 10 years as it takes hold.
Well, what industries, Matt, are you seeing the AI services being used the most? Not primarily, but being used the most?
Yeah, I'm seeing it in any large customer service environments. We're seeing a little bit in retail. We're seeing a lot in the healthcare sector, primarily in life sciences. We've got a group we work with that has been using it for clinical drug trials. And so you're seeing some massive advances and breakthroughs in medicine, because what AI is really good at, as I mentioned earlier, is automating tasks, but it's great at generating insights. So we can look across vast amounts of data way quicker than humans can and generate ideas and insights that it would take weeks, months, years to even create. And so that's where we're seeing some of the breakthroughs. As I mentioned earlier, it's also being used in financial services to detect fraud, to do some base level customer service. That's where I'm seeing a lot of the uptake. But where I'm not necessarily seeing it as much as across professional services. Retail, its use is still pretty limited. We do a lot in the warehouse and distribution and manufacturing space, also in construction. And so I'm seeing it in pockets, but it's not fully widespread. However, everyone's talking about it. Almost everyone's board is like, hey, we've got to do something with AI. And it's interesting. We have customers coming to say, hey, I've got to do something with AI this year, but I don't know what problem I'm trying to solve. And that's really where this gap is that we're trying to bridge, is how do we apply this technology that's ever changing to problems that are here today and do it in a safe and secure way?
It's amazing, Matt. I'm going to tell you a story about healthcare. My daughter had a doctor visit with a specialist recently, and we went in together. And the doctor says, here's what we do nowadays. We take your results, some information from you, and we run it by a human doctor. And we also take those same results and run it through an artificial intelligence. And on the other end, we get together and we compare notes on, did we miss something on the human side? Did AI miss something? That's exactly what I'd like to see. Human interaction with artificial intelligence to maybe get the solution to it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I think we're going to see more and more of that, where the humans and the computers work together. And it's a learning process. But with every technology revolution that we've had throughout time, from the assembly line to the internet, now it's going to be AI. Everyone usually gets concerned, well, hey, my job is going away. It's really going to change. I think every one of us in the next few years is going to have like an AI co-pilot in whatever we do, whether you're a graphic artist or a video game designer or a coder. AI is going to take away some of the mundane, lower level routine tasks, but it's still going to need what we call a human in the loop to validate its results and to put it into action. Because what AI cannot do is think for itself, not yet anyhow. Where it's good when you give it a task and say, here's exactly what I want, but then knowing what to do with it, putting it into action and taking the next step, that capability is not there today. And that's where humans really need to be involved, is to kind of drive that process and ensure accuracy of the results of the AI.
Well, Matt, in the next few years, I welcome a robot co-host for the show. So I would love to have a co-host of my own. Well, Matt Rosen, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight into it. And, we'll just keep our eye, and hopefully, AI will show us the way down the road.
Well, I look forward to being on the show with you and your robot co-host in years to come.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt. Have a great day now.